It just tells me. See, there's your countdown, Bradford. 3, 2, 1. So typically you find me on Friday afternoons for the Friday foursome, but today it's a little different because I've got a different direction we're taking this interview. So today we don't have a golfer per se. She does say she's pretty good at mini golf, but we've got a DJ with us today. Well, she's more than a DJ. She's a DJ. She's a producer. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She's a chef. All kinds of stuff wrapped up into our guest of honor this evening, and I'm so pumped to be able to finally meet this person because I've interviewed this person in the past, and I've done it via email, and I've worked with her PR team very closely and helped promote her over the years, and I'm pumped with all the stuff she has coming out. I grabbed a fan to join us for this interview. Bradford, are you excited about this?
Pumped. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I am really excited to, finally meet this individual. And before I spend the next half an hour just talking about her, I'm going to introduce her and let her talk about herself for a couple minutes. Jess, I am pumped to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's such an interesting way. I feel kind of like we're in this little circle.
And it's funny because when we were trying to get you to join a little bit ago, I was telling Bradford, I was like, surely she has a Mac device, like click a button and it puts you in here. And I don't do a lot of these with DJs. I've interviewed over 500 DJs in the last 6-7 years, and it's something that I've slowly been wanting to get into, are these live interviews and doing them via Google Plus Hangouts on air, because one, it creates a different level of perception for us. Like, it feels like we're in the same room, but yet you're in LA and I'm in Scottsdale, and I don't know where Bradford is, but I think he's in Scottsdale too.
That's correct.
The fun thing with me for these is just being able to meet you and see you and to be able to have a face-to-face conversation even though we're miles apart. So I have a lot of stuff here. Let me tweet this so other people can watch too. I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about today. I'll try to keep it short, but you just released a new single. We're going to talk about the single here in a minute, but that new single was released on your record label. So I didn't know you had a record label. Is that new? And tell me a little bit more about the label and where that came about.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's called Intonenation Records. And it's been, I've been wanting to do this for a very, very long time. And it's very hard to set up a label. There's a lot of things. You need a lot of help. You need your team working together, and there's so many little things you have to get together in order to release something. And I mean, I always work my records on all the labels I work with. So, but I also do a lot of different types of music as well as dance music. I actually sort of stumbled into dance music because I am a songwriter, and I was always into dance music, but I was pursuing other kind of music. So I wanted to also be able to release different types of music, and this way I can release whatever I want, and if someone says I don't like it, I don't want it, I'll be like, okay, fine, I'll release it. So and also I wanted to support and sign up-and-coming talent. I mean, that's really exciting to me, to actually promote people that I believe in and help them.
Oh no, she froze.
I was going to say, is this just me, or?
What happened?
Eric's moving.
Are you back, Jess?
I'm here.
Oh, you froze, and then, okay.
No, you're freezing.
Oh, well, we're both freezing.
Yeah.
So the first single that you've released on this label, and it has to be the first single because the label's brand new, is probably one of my favorite songs out right now. So talk a little bit more about the single, and you work with a couple of names that I'm not familiar with. So would you consider those up-and-coming talent that you decided to work with on this new track, and kind of talk a little bit about that new single?
Yes, definitely. Shant and Clint Maximus. Clint Maximus has actually been my friend for such a long time. I've known him. He lives in Lebanon. He's from the Seychelles, and he's also been in music. He has a radio show as well, The Edge, and I've performed in Lebanon many times. And he actually did. He has a new collaborator, Shant, and they did some remixes for me for a song called In Your Eyes, which I did with Ferry Corsten. And I love them. I think they're very creative. They also go under Game Chasers as well. They do a little bit more house as music as well, and they're just very creative, very driven, very positive. And we started a song a while ago, and I just decided I wanted to do something with them as the first release. I'm glad you like it. It's an uplifting, it's a happy song, it's a summer song. You know, I consider myself a spiritual person, and I get a lot of emails from people about their lives and what music means to them, and even just about themselves. And I kind of wrote that in with them in mind a little bit, you know, because I feel, you know, life is hard and you need to be strong, and sort of that's what this song's about.
Well, that's really cool, and it's funny because I was just going to transition to Bradford, and then he just dropped off. But like I said, I got a lot of questions for you this evening. So you mentioned Ferry Corsten. You've worked with a ton of talent. I mean, Ferry and Tiësto and ATB and BT. So do you like working with those guys, and do you prefer working with and be honest, do you prefer working with one of them over the other? And kind of talk about what it's like to work with such. And I'm going to throw Cosmic Gate in there too, because I know that you've done a lot of work with Cosmic Gate as well. So talk about what it's like to work with those guys, and if you know, what capacity you work with those guys in.
Well, I just had the most amazing experience during Winter Music Conference. I just performed with BT, who I've done so many amazing songs with. He's an incredible musician and talent, and, you know, computer whiz and everything, and a very good friend. And we played with an orchestra at the Adrian Arsh Center, and that was, you know, something I've always wanted to do. So I'm still reeling from it. It was such a beautiful time. It really was. I had like the cellos like right in back of me. And, you know, Brian is someone I've actually been in the studio with, which is, I can't say I've been in the studio with a lot of the people I've worked with. I've emailed back and forth, send tracks back and forth. So that's why it was special to have time with BT in the studio, as well as Tiësto as well. I was in the studio for everything in Holland. ATB, I had a lot of back and forth with, and I love him too. Everybody's very different, you know, everybody works a little differently. Some people like to talk more about it, and some people just let me go and do my thing, you know. But I've been blessed to work with a lot of great people, and everyone's really nice, you know. I mean, and I've become friends with. So, you know, I got to tour with ATB too, with a band, and so everyone's really brought different things into my life, you know, by working with them.
That's really cool, and I've had the chance to meet and interview a lot of these guys, and you're right. Like when I last got the chance to meet BT, like, you would never know that he is who he is. Like, you just think he's just somebody that's into dance music and somebody you could talk to for hours. So that's really cool to hear from the business side of it, that they're the same personality in the studios.
Yeah, no, definitely. Everybody's very down to earth, you know. Nice.
So let's talk about hashtag Unleash the Beat. What is it? I know what it is, but people watching at home might not. So tell me more about that. And I actually titled this interview hashtag Unleash the Beat with
Good.
So let's talk about Unleash the Beat and what that means to you.
Unleash the Beat is an amazing thing. It's started a couple years ago. It represents a lot of things. It represents my radio show, my weekly radio show, that's on over 70 countries worldwide. It's an hour show of like a lot of different things, mashups. I do mashups under Taxi Girl, my favorite picks of the week, and it's a lot of work, and it's great. We also do a compilation, Unleash the Beat compilation. I'm on volume 3, just got released a few weeks ago. It's a 2 CD set of some of my favorite tracks, and I try to pick tracks. I mean, I play a lot of big DJs, but I also play a lot of up and coming people too. So on these CDs, I try to give everybody, you know, a chance for the people I support, and just make a interesting CD with people you might not know, you know. And also, it's sort of a brand. Yeah. Yes.
But hey, you're right. I mean, and that's a good segue, because it is a brand. It's become a brand for you, and it's something that, you know, it's so, like, when I even think about the word beat when in that capacity. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm putting that in your capacity too. So it has become kind of a brand for you.
Yeah, and it's funny. The word unleash, I see it all over now. And when I started, it was kind of like, you know, I hadn't seen it around that much, so it was kind of cool.
So speaking of places all around, you're all over Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, and there's just a laundry list of social networks that you're involved with. Do you have a favorite, and if so, which one and why?
You know, I love Instagram
My favorite
because
too.
yeah, because I love photography, and I wish there was even more things you could do on it. You know, I'm waiting for them to update it because I need more. You know, and I just love, you know, it shows a different side of you. You know, and your followers are different, and it's like what you see, you know, through your eyes, and you can show people. You know, it's hard keeping up with all these social media, you know, websites these days, and I just get pleasure out of that one a lot. What else do I like? I mean, I like Twitter. I get to be really close with people on Twitter. You know, just like I didn't know how to get in touch with you. Just
Yeah,
you
just
know,
tweet me.
it's great, right? So I do use that, and I think it's fun. You can really get into having conversations, and I've made a lot of friends on it, you know, especially when I do a show. They're like, you know me from Twitter, you know. So I say that's my second best one. But, you know, and I'm getting into Vine, and I'm getting into some different ones. They're always popping up, but definitely Instagram.
Yeah, there's plenty to choose from. And Bradford decided to take a break, but he's back now. So I'm going to let him ask a question. Welcome back, Bradford. And he's frozen. See? He leaves, he comes back, and he freezes. So, okay, on your website, there at the bottom left, there's a recipe for this ridiculous shrimp dish that just sounds amazing. So, are you a chef too? Like, why is there a recipe on a producer, singer, songwriter's website?
I actually have a new blog I just put up called therockstardiet.com because you know, I'm in my studio actually right now, but we have a kitchen as well, and I'm like the studio chef. I cook for everybody. I mean, I think it's wonderful to be working on a track and then go cook something. It's sort of an extension of your creativity. I mean, I love to eat. I'm also very health oriented, and I love strange foods and tastes, and I always grew up cooking. I'm a great cook. So I sort of wanted to share it, and I like to be, you know, experiment. So I actually was on the news. I did some cooking shows, and if I wasn't maybe, you know, a musician singer, I'd be a photographer chef.
I was just gonna say, now wait a minute. You're all into Instagram, and you cook and you sing and you write. Like, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
So
I
that's
talk to myself a lot too.
That's a good segue to my next question, because like I'm always so curious as a songwriter, like where do you come up with ideas for new songs? So kind of similar to coming up with new ideas for recipes. Do you see a correlation between the two? And talk a little bit about where your motivation comes from when you sit down to write a new track.
Well, it's tough. You know, I write so many songs, and I get crazy some days. You know, it's hard to find things. My ears are always open. I'm always writing things down. I hear something, you know, I read, it makes me think of things. I dream, and I have a pad right next to me to try to catch it. I'm desperate for ideas all the time, so you know, I think it's really important to write all the time, because I've got just, you know, my computer is filled with notes and notes and notes every day of different things, and you have to sort of pull from those things every time you sit down. Mostly I look for inspiration in the music and the chords and the instrument in the track if I'm writing to a track. You know, there's been times where I have to really try to figure out what am I going to do with this, because if you don't get the inspiration right away, but you have to do it, you have to finish it. And it's always interesting because you're in control. You know, you can do, it's like a blank page. You can do whatever you want, you know. So when something doesn't come out as good as I want, I'm like, but I was in control of it. So, you know, I get a lot of inspirations from other artists, from watching other artists, from reading lyrics of other artists, from my friends' lives. There's always good to have a muse around, you know, someone that like makes you think a lot of things. So it's never really one thing. It's just anything that makes you feel something.
That's awesome. So Two Souls, what is that, and why not just one soul?
Oh, but because we are two, we are together. You know, I had that song for such a long time, and I always find it so incredible when you're in a place and you're talking to someone and you've been in the same place at the same time many years ago, or like you cross paths some way, you know. And so it's a little bit about that. It's also about, you know, how we're all sort of in it together. And especially, you know, it's funny because that song, when you go to like a big concert and you're in the crowd and you're just looking around at everybody, you know, it's like, that's what's wonderful about dance music, is when you go to, people are pretty much happy to be there. And you kind of, I always look at someone in the crowd and you're just like sort of on the same wavelength, you know? So, it's sort of a deep song. I try to write funny songs, you know, but I always come up with these things. That's what it's about, and I'm really thrilled that people have taken to that song. We had some great remixes. We had a lot of remixes. There's many different incarnations of the track, and a lot of DJs have played it and supported it. Thank you. And so that's what it's about, though.
That's really cool. So you tour a lot, and you play a lot of live shows. What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
Well, my friends know this. I don't know how quite, my boob came out. We call it the flop-a-boob show.
That's one way to put it.
That's pretty embarrassing, right? The really embarrassing thing was I didn't know. It was interesting. I did a Janet before Janet did.
That's bad. I like I did.
And you're blushing. But also, funny. I mean, you know, I've been in that Milli Vanilli situation. Not that I sing my things, but like the music stops and you have to kind of keep going. I also like fell off the stage, a big stage in Malaysia, the Formula One races. And there she wasn't, you know, just kind of fell. So, but that first one was the best one.
Well, yeah, I would say that trumps falling. So speaking of lyrics, have you ever forgotten the lyrics while you were singing, like in the middle of a show?
Never big sections. Maybe fumbled, because people love to talk to me when I'm singing or doing something. And so, and I want to talk to them back, but it's like, talk, sing, talk. So it kind of a little bit here and there, but I'm pretty much, I probably could go on autopilot.
That's funny. So Bradford is texting me, so he must not be coming back to join us. So I feel bad that he wasn't able to join us, but that's okay. And we've been talking for like 20 minutes. What's next for JES? Like, I mean, the new label obviously is going to be kicking up, and you're going to be starting to sign new talent and releasing new tracks on that. But what's next? Is there a tour in the works maybe this spring and summer?
Yes, actually, I'm heading to Australia with Cosmic Gate. So that's really exciting for, you know, I was so happy. Everybody liked, yeah, here we go again. And I'm going to New York. I'll be heading east. I'm doing San Diego. There's a lot of different things coming up, so you have to check my website, officialjes.com. Well, I'm working on an album. Right now, I'm working on 2 albums. I know people know that. I've been working on an acoustic album because I do write most of my songs sort of acoustically, and some of them lend themselves better to dance music than the others. So I'm making 2. I'm working on my next release on Intonation. I'm also have a contest going on right now. And if you go to Intonation Facebook, you can drop your tracks. I'm going to be signing a track, so I'm going to be releasing a new track by by someone else. I have a few collaborations coming up that I'm busy trying to finish up, but I sort of like to talk about them when they're done and set in stone. I have a new studio, which has been a really amazing place to work. So it's work for me, mostly.
I was gonna say you got a lot of things going on, and it doesn't sound like you're slowing down anytime soon.
I know, but I love it. I think it's addictive a little bit. It's like my brain is like wakes up to, you know, I was thinking about 10 things at one time. So
it's not coffee. I mean, coffee probably could help.
No, it's just the energy of music.
So I interviewed you like 2, maybe 3 years ago, and we did it via email, and it's been a long time since then. But in all the interviews that I do, I always give the artist the last word. So first, I feel bad that Bradford is not able to join us, so I'll make sure that he feels even more bad the next time I see him. But 2, thank you for doing this. This is awesome. It's cool to be able to do it from your studio and to learn more about things, especially your new label. That's fantastic that you've got that rolling, and I'll be paying attention to that. But like I say, in all of the interviews that I do, I always let the artist get the last word. So have at it. It's yours.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who keeps me going, because you really do. It's amazing with Twitter and with Facebook and with email. I just feel like I have a lot of friends out there, and sometimes I, feel like I need that extra push, and it's always the fans and my friends that keep me going. So I feel like we're in this together, and I want to thank you so much. Thank you. Mwah.